I don't see why we cannot start with visa-free travel. In ECOWAS, we have it. ECOWAS, if you fly into Nigeria, you don't need a visa.
Ghana is making a bold move that's getting attention across the continent. In early April this year, the President Mahama announced that Ghana will become visa-free for Africans.
Africans traveling to Ghana will receive their e-visas online free of charge. But between Ghana and Zimbabwe, in laws, we have a visa-free environment already. We can travel to each other's countries without needing a visa.
Effective on May 25th this year, which is also Africa Day. What this means for Ghana? The idea behind this is pretty clear. Ghana wants to strengthen Pan-African unity and make it easier for Africans to move, connect, and do business with each other. It also ties into bigger efforts like the African Continental Free Trade Area, which aims to boost trade within the continent. On top of that, removing visa barriers is expected to increase tourism and make travel across Africa less stressful. For Ghana itself, the benefits are practical. More tourists means more spending in the country, and easier access makes it more attractive for business travelers and investors, supporting economic growth through easier movement of people and trade. It also helps position Ghana as a central hub for movement, diplomacy, and regional activity. Ghana has been active in championing the unification of Africa. Remember, it was Ghana that announced the launch of the AFCFTA, spearheading its implementation and application.
Today is a very happy day for Mother Africa, and I'm grateful to Almighty God for the opportunity to be a part of this landmark historic event, the commencement of trading of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Also, the country has also been championing the return of the Black diaspora, offering them visa on arrival and other means to assist in their relocation, adjustment, integration, property acquisition, and means of getting citizenship.
What do you get from Ghana or feel that you don't feel in America?
Peace, 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 peace. Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries I've ever been to, and I've been to over 50 countries. So it's unmatched. When you come here, you feel supported, loved, from the men, from the women, the children. It just feels like home.
So far, so good. Why are you moving to Ghana, Africa?
Yes, so step out your comfort zone. Don't believe what they show you on TV. Africa is it's a continent. There's so many countries in that continent, and Ghana is probably one of the most safest places to travel. Wow. You guys speak English. This is I want to know, why do a lot of Ghanaians want to come to America?
Now the country is back at it again, at the forefront of the borderless Africa. An initiative that's been decades in the making, from the initial founding of the OAU to its recent spin-off as the AU.
As a cradle of Pan-Africanism, Ghana believes it has historic responsibility to remain open to Africans from across our continent. We're firmly of the view that African governments must accelerate the integration agenda for which Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah toiled and sacrificed. This visa-free policy forms part of our broader e-visa reform program, which government will roll out in May this year. Together, the e-visa and free visa initiatives are expected to advance Pan-Africanism, boost integration and tourism, and strengthen Ghana's attractiveness as an investment destination.
What this means for Africa. Ghana's decision to go visa-free for Africans isn't happening in isolation. A few countries have already taken similar steps. Rwanda offers visa-free or visa on arrival access to all Africans, while Seychelles is fully visa-free. The Gambia and Benin have also opened their borders to African passport holders. What makes Ghana's move stand out is the signal it sends. It adds pressure on other countries to start relaxing their own visa rules and pushes the idea of a single African travel space, something similar to Europe's Schengen system. It also lines up with ongoing efforts to improve trade and labor movement across the continent. You see, the border system in Africa didn't exist before colonization. Europe placed these artificial borders as a way to safeguard their colonies, because oftentimes a French colony might be right next to a British colony, and there was often territorial confusion and overlap, with European nations even fighting wars on the African continent to defend their colonies. But after independence, Africa continued to maintain these borders instead of tearing it down, and this has caused restriction of people and business. The issue of restricted movement within Africa isn't just theory, it's something even top business figures deal with. Aliko Dangote has openly complained about how difficult it is to travel across the continent using an African passport. At one point, he said he had to apply for more than 30 visas just to move between African countries for business, calling the process time-consuming and frustrating.
Mr. Dangote, you have previously complained about the difficulty of traveling on a Nigerian passport across the continent. Has it become easier?
Even an hour ago, I complained to President Kagame.
At least you can come here visa-free.
No, here is the best example, but I told him that, yes, as an investor, as somebody who really wants to make Africa great, I have to now apply 35 different visas on my passport. And I told Mr. President, I said, Mr. President, I really don't have the time to go and be dropping my passports in embassies to get a visa.
His experience isn't unique, it reflects a wider problem. Data from the African Development Bank shows that African travelers still face significant restrictions within their own continent. In fact, Africans often need visas for a majority of African countries, while only a small number of nations offer full visa-free access. What makes it more striking is the imbalance. In many cases, travelers from Europe or the United States can move across parts of Africa more easily than Africans themselves. This is largely due to historical ties, visa reciprocity agreements, and the way tourism policies are structured to attract foreign visitors. The result is a system that slows things down for the people it should benefit most. Business owners, investors, and entrepreneurs face delays, extra costs, and missed opportunities simply because of visa barriers. As Dangote pointed out, the issue isn't just about inconvenience. It directly affects trade, investment, and how easily businesses can operate across borders. What this means for other countries. There's a good chance this could push others to follow. Countries that have already opened up tend to see more tourism and business activity, and that creates a kind of copy effect. With Ghana joining that group, expectations grow, especially for larger economies to step up and do the same. Still, there are reasons many countries have held back. Security concerns are a big one, especially around terrorism and cross-border crime. But billionaire Aliko Dangote made a counter-argument. His point is that strict visa rules mainly affect law-abiding travelers like business people, while groups involved in terrorism or illegal movement don't rely on official channels anyway, so they aren't really stopped by visa restrictions. Meaning, whether you put a strict visa and border control policy, if a terrorist wants to invade your region, they will do it regardless, because they don't need official channels.
Anyway, well, I think we need political will to be able to implement most of these things that we're signing. And, I think in Africa, if you will allow British, European, Americans to get in there on visa, having visa on arrival, you should allow all Africans to get in there with no visas. And I keep telling them, the people who are causing trouble in the other part of your country, did they come through the airports? No, those guys, they don't need a visa.
Boko Haram, that's exactly.
They don't need a visa, so whether you give, it's better you go and concentrate on the troubles.
Exactly, you go
they go through with their tanks.
5 kilometers from the airport
yes,
across.
With their tanks, and they come into the cities with no, yes.
In simple terms, he's saying the policy ends up slowing trade and movement for ordinary Africans more than it actually improves security. That view is debated, though, because governments still argue that visas help with tracking, screening, and managing who enters their borders, even if they don't stop all illegal crossings. Besides the security issues, there are other worries. Some governments worry about weak border systems and poor data sharing, while others are concerned about job competition or losing revenue from visa fees. There's also the issue of slow political coordination across regions. What does this mean for the African Union? Africans all over the world have been pushing for an integrated Africa. One passport, free movement, free trade, one military and one currency. But the African Union has been slow to adopt these initiatives. The good news is that recently they implemented the Continental Free Trade Agreement for the movement of goods across regions. Ghana's move adds real pressure toward the idea of a single African connection under the African Union. It shows that large, influential countries are willing to open up, which makes the policy feel more practical, not just political talk. When more countries see the economic upside, it increases the chances they follow. The African Passport Project still faces slow coordination, security concerns, and uneven systems across countries. So Ghana's decision is more like a push in the right direction. For Africa as a whole, moves like this could make a real difference. It makes travel easier for Africans within the continent, increases trade and business trips, and helps build a stronger sense of regional connection, while making African economies more linked to each other over time.